It's time for the shout out. What is the biggest source of U.S. government revenue? If you think you know it, then shout it out. Is it taxes, interest on loans, land leasing, or borrowing? You've got 3 seconds. Go. Taxes on citizens and businesses account for most of the government's revenue. That's your answer, and that's your shout out.
That's why the debate over taxes, who gets taxed and by how much, is so important to the U.S. government's debate over the upcoming fiscal cliff. It's a series of tax increases and government spending cuts that'll automatically happen in January. A lot of experts agree it would be a bad thing for the U.S. economy, and it can only be avoided if Congress and the president can agree on another way to address the nation's massive debt. One way to do that is by reducing government spending, but that is easier said than done. Tom Foreman has an excellent illustration of why.
What you're looking at in this room is everything the federal government spends money on. And that scoreboard back there shows you the problem. Last year, we spent $3.6 trillion on all this stuff, but we only took in $2.3 trillion in taxes or revenue. Now, Democrats tend to like to talk more in these talks about the revenue side of the equation. They say if we can find a way to gin up more taxes, lean on the rich harder, that's how we can deal with this deficit. But Republicans, while agreeing we may need more revenue, want to talk a lot more about all this stuff and whether or not they can cut some things down. One of the first things you may notice is that not all spending is equal. You could have dramatic cuts in things like Homeland Security and the Energy Department and the Interior Department. If you cut those programs out entirely, yeah, you'd save $80 billion, but that's only a small fraction of the deficit. That's why the talk is largely about this back row where the big ticket items reside, such as Social Security, Health and Human Services, home to Medicare and Medicaid, and defense. Each one of these accounts for more than $700 billion in spending. So yeah, if you could find a way to somehow chop about 25% out of each program here, you'd get real savings, about $500 billion. But doing that would be unbelievably tough. The simple truth is some of them are protected from cuts. Social Security is something that Democrats and Republicans alike have been very afraid to go after. The social programs are very much protected by Democrats, and the Republicans are equally protected of defense. That's why these talks are so tough. The simple truth is every program in this room has constituents who will fight tooth and nail to hold on to the funding. But there is this. If no deal is struck and the fiscal cliff comes, then $600 billion in automatic tax increases and spending cuts will kick in. That could affect a lot of programs in this room, and that will absolutely leave an awful lot of voters, Democratic and Republican, unhappy.